Okay, we're going to move on to a very important case involving Bill Swatek. And by the way, I want to let you know at the end of that last sequence, that was not my cinematographer fainting or falling over. She just got confused on what button to push. It is almost 90 degrees out here, and it is a little warm, but she didn't faint. I wanted you to know that. But this is what I mean when I talk about Bill Swatek's history of unethical behavior. And this is where it started. This is a case from 1980 and 81. I'm going to show you a document. This is where he was suspended from the practice of law in the state of Alabama. It says order of suspension. And let me read to you just briefly what this was about. He was found guilty of engaging in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation. Let me read that again. I think it's interesting the way that sounds. He was found guilty of acts of dishonesty, fraud, deceit, and misrepresentation. He also was found guilty of engaging in conduct that adversely reflects on his fitness to practice law. This was almost 30 years ago, folks, and the Alabama State Bar found that basically that he was not fit to practice law, and yet he still has a bar card. He still is filing bogus lawsuits against people like me. His son has direct connections to Karl Rove and the Bush Justice Department. This is the kind of person that is allowed to practice law in the state of Alabama. Now let me tell you what this case is about. I'm going to try to calm down and slow down a little bit to help everybody understand. This received big news coverage in Birmingham back in 1980 and 81. What happened, Bill Swatek represented a policeman from Pelham, Alabama named Johnny Bailey. Mr. Bailey was dismissed from his job, and Bill Swatek sued the city of Pelham. In the discovery process of this lawsuit, both attorneys from both parties were at Mr. Swatek's office conducting depositions. And the opposing counsel and their witnesses needed to speak in private, so Mr. Swatek told them they could use his office. While these attorneys and witnesses were in the office, they discovered a tape recorder running that was hidden in an envelope. They confiscated the tape recorder and confronted Mr. Swatek about it, and that led to a charge. He testified before the Birmingham Bar Association that he didn't know anything about the tape recorder running, that it was Mr. Bailey, his client's idea. And that's why he was suspended. The Alabama State Bar found that Bill Swatek lied on that occasion. In addition to that, Swatek was tried for perjury in criminal court. This is an attorney being tried for perjury. Now that's a little bit like a doctor intentionally making people sick. He was tried for perjury. I'm going to show you some documents here. This is an article from the Birmingham paper, September 2nd, 1981. It says, opening statements made in attorney's perjury case. I want you to get a look at that document. I'm going to read from it just a little bit to show you what the perjury case was about. It was tried, but the prosecutor's name was Don Valeska, and he said, Swatek swore under oath to Almighty God to tell the truth, but we expect to show you that he lied before the grievance committee of the Birmingham Bar Association. Valeska charged that the lie came when Swatek denied he had anything to do with secret taping of conversations by lawyers on the opposing side in a bitterly contested lawsuit in Shelby County. Attorney David Johnson shouted his response, telling jurors that Swatek spoke the honest-to-God's truth at his appearance before the committee. Johnson said that he expects evidence to show that it was Swatek's client, Johnny Bailey, a former Pelham policeman, who was suing a group of Pelham officials who did the taping entirely on his own. Remember that. Swatek's defense was that it was his client. He blamed his client, his own client, that it was his client's idea, claimed that he himself, Bill Swatek, knew nothing about it. We'll return to some other stories, and we'll let you know more about this in just a moment.